So you have understood these 3 points. Now let's move on to the fourth one. Situational language teaching, that is SLT. SLT facilitates learning. SLT facilitates learning, learning process. How? Why? Because a lot of examples are given there. So SLT facilitates learning. Because a lot of examples are given. Because a lot of examples are given. Okay. Or you may say, a lot of examples facilitate learning. This will be better, I think. A lot of examples, is it not? If I say this is making it shorter, so you can write the point like this: lot of examples facilitate learning. Okay, I'm writing it here. This is better. You can take this down. Lot of examples facilitate learning. Because as has been told that this is suitable for the young learners. That is why a lot of examples are given by the teacher. The teacher who adopts this teaching approach gives a lot of example to his students in order to make learning easy. Okay, in order to make learning easy, so that his students understand. Is that fine? Yes. So what does the word facilitate mean?
To help.
To help?
Yeah.
That's not a right synonym. To make something easy, you may say. To make this is from the word facility. Facility, or say facilitate, means to make something easy, to simplify a thing. Things are simple because like if he is teaching a lesson which is complex or which is like a little tough for the students, what does a teacher do? Teacher would give a lot of examples. Instead of talking in the mother tongue, he wouldn't talk in the mother tongue. Okay, mother tongue is kept at a bay. It's kept away from the classroom. That is why he would make his students understand by giving a number of examples, by giving a lot of examples, in order to make his learning easy, so that his students understand him. Is that fine?
Yes.
And one thing I would like to tell you here, sometimes it happens because similar words are there, like this is facilitate and you have felicitate also. Do you know the difference between the two? Sometimes this is an instance of malapropism. In fact, you wish to say facilitate, but instead of saying facilitate, you say felicitate. Okay, this happens. This is a very common error, but this comes under malapropism. Have you heard about it? Can you tell me the difference between the two? Malapropism is like instead of using a word which is suitable, you use another because of the sound, because of the similar sound. Okay, this is from Mrs. Malaprop in one of the comedies, any satirical comedies, I must say. Yes, facilitate and felicitate. What's the difference? Come on, tell me first.
Felicitate is to celebrate, like to give away certificates to felicitate.
Yeah, very good. This is from felicitation, celebration, and facilitate is to make something easy. This is the difference. Okay. And here I would like to tell you, if I happen to spell something wrong, then it's better that you point it out because you are here enacting the kids. The kids, what they do. Whenever the teacher writes something wrong, they would say, "Oh, ma'am or sir, you have written something wrong." Is it not? This happens. Anyway, because the teacher focuses on delivering the lecture or teaching his student. So sometimes it happens. You might miss. Suppose like effective, you might miss E here, or suppose you're writing students, you might miss S there. So it's better that you point it out. Anyway, so these are the points that we have discussed so far. Now one more point I'm reminded of. This is no doubt a very useful approach as far as teaching young students are concerned, as far as teaching, say, elementary level of students are concerned. This can be very well handled till the 8th standard, I must say. Okay, if a teacher is teaching vocabulary and pronunciation simultaneously, then this is a very useful approach. Okay, this approach proves very advantageous, very useful if a teacher happens to teach or wishes to teach vocabulary and pronunciation simultaneously. Okay, so we may have this point here. Proves advantageous. Advantageous means advantageous, useful. Proves advantageous. Yeah, in teaching. Proves advantageous in teaching vocabulary and pronunciation simultaneously. Now this is a long word, so teacher might like misspell it. Okay, this happens. Anyway, proves advantageous in teaching vocabulary and pronunciation simultaneously. Now again, he won't be teaching them individual words. Remember, like while teaching a lesson, while teaching a story, if he discusses the words that occur there in the story, then he would tell them the pronunciation also. If he's telling two things together, then this approach proves very advantageous. It's very helpful. Okay, like for example, like books are designed this way. I'm giving you like while I was a student, like the English books used to be like this, somewhat like this. Like suppose the stories that you have in say elementary English books or English readers or good readers. What kind of stories do you have? Like The Last Leaf, The Gift of Magi, Rumpelstiltskin. Okay, like these are the very popular stories that we have. Okay, or yeah, I don't remember all the stories, but I have read a lot of Happy Prince. Is it not? Or September Princess. These were the stories that I had there in my English readers. Now I'm reminded of here. Say for example, The Gift of Magi or The Last Leaf. Okay, The Last Leaf. This is a very popular story. I think everybody has read it. O. Henry's The Last Leaf. Sue and there are two friends who stay together, and one of them catches pneumonia as a result of loses hope, and the leaf is painted by a painter, and that saves the life. Okay, this is the story. I'm telling you so that you remember it, so that you recollect it. So what happens, like suppose this is the story. First you will have words which are difficult for the students, otherwise they are not difficult words which are new for the students, okay, for the young students. So first you have say 10 to 15 words in the beginning, then you have the main story. So what does a teacher do? Because these words are going to occur in the story, these words are going to occur in the story, the main story, the last leaf. Then what would he do? Like before coming to the actual story, he would discuss these words. He would talk about these words. He would tell them the meaning of these words. Okay, and at the same time, he would tell their pronunciation. Okay, like pneumonia. He would tell the spelling. He would ask his students to remember the spelling and also to learn the pronunciation. Okay, despair. He would be saying it 2-3 times, and his students will repeat him after him. Okay, like where the accent should be, which level should be accented, although we don't teach this way, but the way the teacher speaks, students pick him up. What do they do? They imitate their teacher, they mimic their teacher. So if a teacher has a good pronunciation, then the students are going to pick up the right pronunciation. Does it happen or not? You can very well make out from the pronunciation of the students that their teacher has a good pronunciation. It happens. If a teacher doesn't have a good pronunciation, if he has a faulty pronunciation, then he cannot teach a right pronunciation to his students. Right, this is what I was saying, that if a teacher teaches vocabulary and pronunciation together, then this approach, situational language teaching approach, proves highly advantageous, highly useful. Okay, so these are the important merits of this approach that that we have discussed. I hope they're clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay?
Yes.
So what are they? Just a quick look at them. And if you have not understood, if you want me to say something more, add something to the point, then you can ask me. It creates interest in the students. This approach proves very interesting. Why? Because he gives a lot of examples. Say he makes drawings on the board. There are posters, charts, different things. So it creates interest in the students. Emphasis is given on learning by play, as they are small students. So learning by play is focused upon. It is cost effective. SLT, that is this approach, it facilitates learning because a lot of examples are given. That is, a lot of examples facilitate learning. No doubt, there is no doubt about it. This is done to simplify a thing, to make his students understand that. Then the aim is, the target is to make students understand. That's why a teacher gives a lot of examples to his students instead of talking in the mother tongue. And the last one that we have here is, this approach proves advantageous in teaching vocabulary and pronunciation simultaneously. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Okay. These are the things that you are going to discuss there in your answers. The principles of an approach, merits of that approach, the one you are asked to write, and then demerits. Yes. Demerits of SLT, demerits of situational language teaching. Now, the biggest, a kind of charge against this approach is that, biggest charge is that it's not suitable for higher classes. When I'm giving my point of view, you don't have to give my point of view there in your answer sheet, because like if a discussion is going on there in some seminar or conference, then you can give your point of view. But in the exam, you have to discuss plainly, merits, demerits, without giving your point of view there. Okay, if you're asked to evaluate, then okay, you can give your point of view. But if you are asked just a ready-made answer, okay, what are the merits and demerits? Write them plainly. Okay, let me discuss it. Like it's not suitable for the higher classes, or for the higher level, or the higher classes. But I gave you the example that I discussed it. I mean, I follow this approach even now. You do not adhere to one single approach while you teach, or one single method while you teach. it just depends. It depends on the class you are teaching. It depends, the lesson you are teaching. It depends on the genre that you are discussing. So your approach and method varies from class to class and from, the type of genre you are discussing. Isn't that so? Yeah. So not suitable for the higher classes. It is suitable only in the lower classes, as this approach cannot be made applicable to the senior classes. Means you can teach only at the elementary level through this approach, say till the 8th standard at the most. But after that, you don't follow it. It's not suitable. This is the charge. But I feel if the description is pictorial, if you have a picturesque description there in the poem, then you can make the picture on the whiteboard. For example, I must tell you, I am giving you my example. When I am teaching the Kesiluna tree by Torudar, what do? Because it has got a beautiful description. I mean pictorial description. You can imagine that. You can visualize that. So there she talks about a tree, a very huge tree. So I make a very huge tree like this. Okay, sometimes the picture is good and it's not that good always. Okay, a huge tree. Okay, I'm making a tree, that's why it's like this. Okay, now this is a tree. This is very huge. These roots. Now this is a huge Kesiluna tree, and ivy, climbs up its trunk like this. This is ivy, and a beautiful simile is given there in the poem. Is something like a python. Looks like a python. So what do? I make a picture like this, and that although this ivy is very strong, and any other fragile tree would have strangulated, means would have given in because of the strength of the ivy, but this is even stronger, this tree. So it wears this ivy like a scarf. So I make this picture, and then there are images like there are monkeys sitting on top of the branches, okay, and the young ones are playing on the different branches. There are flowers, so crimson flowers, red flowers. So I use different color markers and make the picture like this. This is how you can make. I'm sorry I've not made a good picture, otherwise I make a better picture. I'm telling you while I'm teaching this poem. This can be done. So this approach can be used even while you are teaching the undergraduate students. Yes. And another charge, which is this. Okay, I agree. Long texts, cannot be taught by this approach. Long text. My students would testify to it that I make better picture of Kesiluna tree, because there you have poem, I read the poem, as I go along the poem, I keep making picture on the tree, pictures, different things, whatever mentioned there in the poem. So yes, long text, long text like novels, dramas and all, long texts, long text cannot be taught, through this approach. through this approach. This is another charge. Okay, this is valid. This is valid. Like textbook, like rapid reader, you must have read that. Rapid reader also, we had rapid readers in our syllabus. Rapid reader were in fact, you know, like they're in the syllabus for self-reading. We had good readers and rapid readers. Students used to read them themselves, they were not taught there in the classroom. So textbooks like rapid reader cannot be taught by this approach, they say. I would, yeah, art forms like drama, say prose, fiction, say criticism, etc. cannot be taught through this approach. So, but why to teach, you know, I.A. Richards through this approach? Why did you teach T.S. Eliot or Matthew Arnold or Aristotle, Johnson? Why? Why would anybody teach? Why would anybody follow this approach if one is teaching criticism or say prose? If I am teaching say Dream Children by Charles Lamb, then why would I follow this approach? If I am teaching say drama, Measure for Measure, then why would I follow situation language teaching approach? I don't know. Okay, that's fine that long text cannot be taught, but why would anybody do that? This approach is not meant to teach long texts, big texts. Okay, big genre, big art forms, you may say. So, why do you want to follow it at all for the advanced learners? Do not follow it. You know, I don't know, it sounds funny. It's like, you know, it's like picking up a kid's outfit, kids wear, praising it, say profusely well. You know, just see this is a t-shirt, so it's beautiful, the colors are very nice, the texture, you know, is very nice. Okay. And then finally, you know, finding fault with it and saying, oh, it doesn't fit my grown-up kid. Now when the kid has grown up, why do you want to try this small shirt on him anymore? Discard it. Is it not? Situational teaching, same is with situational teaching approach. Well, you can use the situational teaching approach if you find it suitable. Okay, if you find it suitable, you can teach till the 8th standard. Well, if you find it suitable at the graduate level, then you can use it, but not all the time. No, not teaching the big tests. And you know, if that kids wear the outfit doesn't fit your grown-up kid, you just I would say this is in the pandemic time, so make a mask of it. Is it not? As simple as that. Means if you don't want to discard, I'm saying it, if you don't want to discard it, make a mask of it. Isn't it so? Means something, you know, which is meant only for elementary learners or say teaching at the school level. So why do you want to drag it to the university level or the college level? No, it's not required. So long texts cannot be taught through this approach, they say. Okay? So, like I gave you the example of Kasura tree. Okay? If you have a pictorial description, you can use a situation approach. Otherwise, there is no requirement. Yeah, and then the charge that we have against this approach is that it does not encourage creativity of the students. Does not encourage. Does not encourage the creativity of the students. It does not encourage the creativity of the students. This is okay. This is okay. The students, you know, they simply listen and and repeat what the teacher says. What the teacher says, and respond to questions and comments like the parrots. Like, you know, I said that this is how the lesson is. The words are given. The teacher reads out the words. Okay, he speaks them out, tells them the pronunciation. So what are students doing? They are just repeating the teacher. They are just speaking the words after him. Means they are not using their own creativity, because it's not required there. It's not required there. So the students simply listen and repeat what the teacher says, and they respond to questions or queries or comments, whatever the teacher demands, whatever the teacher asks them. They just respond to what? Means there is a set boundary kind of thing. There is a Lakshman Rekha. They do not go beyond that Lakshman Rekha, right? They remain confined to the periphery or the line, you know, drawn by the teacher or drawn by the approach, you may say. It doesn't, you know, like gives liberty to students, to young students, I must say, to use their creativity. Because it's a teacher-centered approach. Teacher has the control. He has the vocabulary control. He has the grammar control. Okay, he teaches the set vocabulary, the graded vocabulary. He teaches the set rules. This is how it is. So it's a teacher-centered approach that way. Yeah, students do not have a control over the content of learning. Creativity and uniqueness of individual sentences have no room in this approach. Okay, and again, you know, like you know, Frisby, according to Frisby's syllabus, you must have seen this is boy, this is girl, this is John's ball, this is Mary's doll. So small sentences are taught. This long and complex sentences cannot be taught through this approach. This is another demerit. Long and complex sentence structures or sentences cannot be taught. Cannot be taught through SLT, Situation Language Teaching Approach, through SLT. Long and complex sentences cannot be taught through SLT. Yes, and there is no need to teach, I would say. Means only the well selected patterns can be taught to this approach. Well selected patterns, like the patterns, you know, FRISBY has prescribed. Because, you know, when students reach at the advanced level, they do not need any set pattern, any set syllabus. No. They have their imagination, they have their creativity, they can make big sentences if they have a good imagination. It depends. You know, for example, you know, Hemingway, you must have read the stories of Hemingway. Hemingway was in the habit of writing very small sentences, but they were very powerful sentences, very forceful. And some, you know, like for example, the essay writers, prose writers, they write very long sentences. For example, you may say J.B. Priestley, or say even Francis Bacon. You have very long sentence. De Quincey, you have very long sentences in their prose. So once you have acquired the language, once you have the sense of the language, once you are good at it, then you can write even long sentences. So when you are teaching at the lower level, then you don't need to teach them very big sentences, complex sentences. So this is a flaw with this, they say. long and complex sentences cannot be taught through SLT. Only set sentences, only small patterns, small sentences structures can be taught. Same like this is John, this is Mary, this is Mr. Bell, this is Mrs. Bell. Okay, this kind of thing. These are the sentences which were there in the first lesson of my first standard book. Okay. Now another flaw with this approach is that sometimes it becomes difficult to relate the statement of the teacher with the created situation. So difficult to establish bond between the statement of the teacher with the created situation. Should I write it? Difficult to establish bond between this is a valid point again. It's not, because it's not easy, like you create a situation and students understand that situation, because sometimes they do not think at the same wavelength. Your students do not think at the same wavelength, that's why they do not understand. So it's difficult to establish a bond between the statement of the teacher with the created situation. With the statement of the teacher and the created situation. What do you understand by it? Just read it. Difficult to establish bond between the statement of the teacher and the created situation. Now a teacher is, the teacher creates a situation, okay, a practical situation, a real situation. But sometimes it becomes difficult to establish or to create a bond between the statement and the created situation. This happens. This is very natural. This may happen with any teacher. Okay. Even with the smart teachers, they may face this. They may face this problem. So sometimes it becomes difficult to relate the statement of the teacher with the created situation. Is it okay? So this is again a valid flaw. And trained teachers are required for it. Same as in the direct method, you need trained teachers. Even for teaching situational approach to language teaching, you need trained language teachers. And like good language teachers of English are not easily available. So candidates, I would say, hold degrees, but they do not have the competence. That's why you do not have trained teachers. And this approach requires good, smart, trained teachers. That is why this is another flaw with this, that average teachers cannot handle this approach well. This is not the flaw with the approach. Is it the flaw with the approach? No. This is flaw with the system, that you do not have the trained teachers. Why do you not have? Produce trained teachers are required. Trained teachers are required. Okay? So these are the flaws that I have discussed. I'll rub it. I'm just reading it fast. This approach is not suitable for the higher classes. Long tests cannot be taught through this approach, like drama, fiction, prose, and all. Does not encourage. Does not encourage the creativity of the students, because set patterns are taught, set vocabulary is taught, and teacher has the complete control. That is why it does not encourage the creativity of the students. because every student is creatively. He has some uniqueness. His uniqueness is not taken into account. Long and complex sentences cannot be taught through this approach. Yes, only small sentences can be taught. Complex and long sentences cannot be taught. Difficult to establish bond between the statement of the teacher and the created situation. Trained teachers are required. And yes, I'm reminded of one more, and that is important here. This approach is based on behaviorist theory. Is it not? Behaviorist theory. That was the first principle that we discussed. Habit formation process. According to behaviorist theory, language learning is a habit formation process. But this is a demerit. We do not learn the mother tongue, through this habit formation concept. Yes. This is seventh demerit. This is not. So learning by repetition, and habit formation is groundless, you say. Learning by repetition. Learning by repetition and habit is groundless, is unfounded, is baseless. Learning by repetition and habit is habit formation, that is habit formation. This is, you can understand, habit formation is groundless. The situational approach is based on the structural, and which one is the other one? The structural and the
behavioristic.
Very good, very good, very good. Yes, you're right. The situational approach is based on the structural and the behavioristic approaches, and there's a very famous linguist, who pointed out the fault with these approaches. We have discussed while discussing audio-lingual method. Remember the name?
Chomsky.
Very good, very good. Yes, very right. Chomsky. Remember Chomsky's name? He was the one who they criticized behavioristic and structural theory of language learning. Chomsky. You may say in 1957. It was around that time, because it was around that time only this approach, situational language teaching approach, was very popular. Very popular, yes. So Chomsky, showed that these approaches to language learning are simply unfounded. What are they? They are unfounded. They are baseless. They are groundless, as children do not acquire the mother tongue through repetition and habit formation. Children do not acquire their mother tongue through repetition and habit formation. How do they acquire? How do children acquire their mother tongue? Do they acquire through repetition, habit formation?
No.
No. Then how do they? Just
in a natural manner.
Natural way. What is the natural way? Yes, speak out louder. What's the natural way?
LSRW.
Okay, LSRW are the 4 basic skills, and this is how they learn. But still, you tell me, Miss, how do they pick up the language? They listen to the people around them, okay, and they pick up the vocabulary. They pick up the structures. It's not they are repeating the structures. They don't need to repeat the structures. You're right. He picks it up naturally. It is a spontaneous process. It is not a habit formation process. And you claim to teach the language naturally, but you are not teaching the language naturally. If you are teaching it through habit formation, then you are not teaching the language naturally. Okay? If you are teaching the structures of the language, structures, patterns, set patterns, and that too through drill, repetition. That means you are not following the natural way of learning a language. So that is why Chomsky criticized this situational language teaching. Okay.